It's called Coronavirus in California, a conversation from the front lines. So you could probably find that. Okay. Again, Norma Mota Altman. She asked about a session where Gustavo discussed help for mariachi musicians. Thank you to the 31 people.
Here we go. Hang on.
Okay. There you go.
There we go. Okay. Show me computer audio.
Oh, so, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna turn off my phone now. Here goes.
What's all that about?
All right.
Yeah, it was just a simple invitation. That's all it was, I think.
That's all it was. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen.
Where's everybody else?
We have there's 31 participants right now. I'm gonna check on La Plaza's Facebook and see if we're live on Facebook. I clicked that button. Okay, we're live on Facebook as well. So
okay, here we go.
To everybody. Now we have this is scheduled for an hour. Unfortunately, we have about 40 minutes, but I think we could get a lot done here in 40 minutes. Don't you think, Louie?
Otherwise, it might get boring. Well, anyway, I'm exhausted.
Just getting here.
It was bad enough that I came all the way here from the kitchen.
Oh my God. So tell us about your situation now. Have you been in the house? Have you gone out?
I'm not one of these casual observers of the rules. I am 67 years old, and I'm staying put. I have a really good friend of mine is doing the grocery drop, and I want this thing to end. And I think the only way for us to do that is follow data and science, just like Governor Newsom said, and Andrew Cuomo and all the governors have been supporting the stay-at-home whole idea. And that's the only way that we're going to beat this thing, because we could see the numbers go down when we stay home, stay put. So forget all this stuff. This crazy stuff that's going out there. It's becoming this thing where we're kind of, if you're wearing a mask, it's like a sign of weakness. What is that about? All these people showing up with guns. Okay, you know what? You're getting me started already. Okay. Let's go on with this. My present situation here is that, let's see, let's roll back. I believe it was March 7th. It was a Wednesday night. I was getting ready to leave the next morning at about 6 a.m. for Colorado.
So you were at home?
I was at home. This is on the 7th. I already got my plane ticket. Car's coming to get me at 6 a.m. What happened was my wife walks in and says, "Are you sure you're doing this gig tomorrow?" That's how fast things were moving. It was like one of the California firestorms, where it just kind of moves at 90 miles an hour. So I called up, and then I find out that our road manager, our booking agent in Chicago, and promoters are talking, going around and around. And this is about 10:30 in the evening. At 11:45, it was all gone, not going anywhere. And so that I stayed home that weekend, and following Monday or Tuesday, I believe, is when NBA said we're shutting down everything. And as soon as the NBA shut down, then all the dominoes fell. Live Nation, who owns all the venues all over the United States, announced, and AEG also announced that everything is shut down now. And at that point, I knew that this isn't good news. Things are going to happen at a really high rate of speed. So I've been home since the 7th of, and you might be, somebody might correct me about this, but I believe it was the 7th of March. I've been home. It's the longest time I've been home in, 25 years.
And so you've been the band Los Lobos, which you're a founding member of, a songwriter, a percussionist, guitarist. You've been pretty much a touring band since the beginning. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, if you want to go all the way back to 1973 when the band started, the way I always tell the story is that if you're Mexican American and you got married sometime between 1973 and 1980, we probably played your wedding. Because that's absolute truth. Because we've been doing this for that long, and then we started touring nationally after the release of our first record in 1983, and it feels like it hasn't stopped. So we're just a live music band. We're a band that take a great deal of pride in our live performances. So live music right now is on hold.
And you've had quite a few live shows. I know that you probably can't count the hundreds, if not thousands, of shows that you've either headlined or been part of festivals.
Sure.
And so this does change things for you. It changes for you. It changes for your band. It changes for everybody, your organization, as well. And so how's that impacting what you're doing now?
For one thing, I'm getting used to not having to be somewhere in 20 minutes. That's for sure, you know. And I'll have to tell you that this is a kind of a peek into like retirement, and you know that there's no retirement in rock and roll. You're supposed to do it forever, until you can't do it anymore. And so this is kind of like what retirement might be, you know. And I'm kind of basking in that right now because, you know, we work very hard and I'm still in a decompressing mode, but I'm not insensitive to the great deal of suffering and pain that's going on in the United States right now with lack of jobs and losses of life, sick people and unemployment figures, which are just absolutely going through the roof. This is something that, you know, I think all of us could say we never thought we would live to see.
And you've mentioned in our previous conversation about changes that are coming because of this, both in of course in live performances, but also in the recording of music.
That's true. For one thing, it's just we're not alone at this. You know, of course, you know, all musicians are going through the same thing where, you know, our business just kind of disappeared overnight. And it's not like a lot of businesses where we can, once this is over and everybody says, okay, you know, it's safe to go back out there. A lot of businesses can just hang a sign that says we're open. Not for us. There's a lot of things involved. There's a lot of different variables involved in getting us back started again. Number one, it's are people going to be confident enough to go into these rooms, into these venues, no matter how big they are? Whether it's like Alex's Bar in Long Beach that holds 250 people, or the Fillmore Auditorium, which holds 2,000 people, or the sports arena, or one of these, the Honda Center. All of that it's going to change. Whether people are going to want to feel okay being in those rooms again, that's going to take a while. We could say, okay, we're going to be now performing somewhere, and if there's anybody going to show up, that's a thing. Then of course, state by state, there's going to be different capacity restrictions. So in California, I don't know, we haven't even gone close to that. Governor Newsom there's a four-pronged opening of the state. The first two phases are going to take weeks, and he said then the last two phases, 3 and 4, are going to take months. And live music and events like this are within that third stage. So we're looking at months before we go back. And then that's going to affect ticket prices as far as capacity goes. If the Fillmore Auditorium that holds 2,000 people can only have 500 people in there, you're not going to charge any more money. And then, of course, that's just going to mean ticket sales, ticket prices are going to change. And ultimately, for musicians like myself, it's going to affect the guarantee. Now, let me define what a guarantee is. Guarantee is what the promoter has contracted you to do that show. Mm-hmm. And your guarantee is based on the amount of the price of the ticket. See, all of these are things that a lot of people don't know about. And since all of those factors weigh into that, now you've taken kind of the guts out of everything by limiting the capacity. So everything kind of just falls in there. We might have to play a smaller place with less people in it for multiple nights. Mm-hmm. But then again, ultimately, for a lot less money. So these are the brass tacks of my business. This is how this operates. And this is somebody that's at our level. But then musicians who have a regular gig on a Wednesday through Friday at a club in Pasadena, California, that has gone away altogether. So there's a lot of things going on here within the business. And as far as you mentioned about recording, that's something that we can rise above, because there is technology for doing that.
Yeah, I know your last the group's last recording that was released was your Llegó Navidad album.
That Christmas record that was out last.
And you were touring off of that most recently. I know you were here in Pasadena
right.
at the Rose, and so there's just so much energy and so much emotion that is expended by the group, and that comes back from the audience. How's that going to be duplicated in months to come?
Well, as far as recording, we'll get back to that. Right now, we're not in the studio, obviously, because of the close contact. We can't control that because it's not like you can be 6 feet apart at all times in the recording studio. It's possible, and it might be a model that we might have to look at. But for right now, our new project, which is a record of our favorite cover song, a cover record of our favorite songs, that's on hold for now. Ultimately, we can record all that by correspondence. We send the parts to Caesar, and he puts on his part. And it's a lot like records with a lot of different artists. It goes, that you send the recording to Elvis Costello in England, and he'll put his part on with a piano and vocal, and then that stuff is sent it back via a download, and then it builds that way. It's not too far off from us actually being in the studio, because all of it is just kind of built. Basic tracks are constructed by the band playing the basic tracks live, which gives the kind of the anima to the recording, and then we build on top of it. But to answer your question, it's not impossible for us to do that.
Right.
But the problem right now is that like many other bands, there's no live music. We live for playing live, and a lot of our audiences follow us for that reason. And it's kind of a tragedy that we can't get back out there and do exactly what we do.
All right, and you've had a lot of course, with your experience in live shows and in different venues at different events. Which stand out for you personally that you kind of, I'm sure you have time nowadays to maybe reminisce about things that you've done in the past. What comes to mind?
Well, for one thing, if we just want to get on that subject for a minute, we as a band have been incredibly blessed. We've been fortunate enough to live this dream that many people live. We're just kids from the neighborhood, growing up, and having that dream. We worked hard for it, and somehow the planets lined up, and we had a career. We were touring the United States. The other thing is to be able to meet a lot of our heroes, whether it be a Neil Young or a B.B. King. We've been able to meet these people and actually share the stage with the likes of like Eric Clapton, and being able to meet George Harrison, a Beatle of all people. It's been an incredible thing that we've never taken for granted, because we realize that we have been fortunate, and that we take that with a great deal of responsibility. The success that we've enjoyed, and so we try to pass it down to other people. We try to mentor people. We try to do as much as we can, even if it's down to the many benefits we do every year in order to support having whether it be homeless, whether it be cultural centers that need support, or something like helping to rebuild the burned down auditorium at Garfield High School, which was our alma mater. So we try to give back as much as possible. I think that's what we've been doing. So those things are like the highlights of being able to give back and of course to be able to play for the many fans that we have throughout the world.
All right, fantastic. You know, I have a little clip that I'd like to show. Speaking of cultural centers, at La Plaza de Cultura y Artes, of course, we present a lot of live music on our outdoor stage, and also intimate performances in our conference rooms and our boardrooms and so on. And last year we did have we have an annual fundraiser, and we honored the great Linda Ronstadt. So, and Los Lobos, you and David and Conrad and Cesar were blessed our stage. And so if our audience doesn't mind, I'm gonna just show a small clip, okay?
Yeah, no, we don't mind. We don't mind either.
Share the screen here. I'm gonna click right here. Let's see if we could get this one to work. All right, I see a lot of stuff here. Okay, let's take this away. Let's take these away. See, this is all the hassle that we went to get to where we are right now. Okay, I'm gonna put away this Q&A for a little while. I'm gonna just open up this clip, and here we go. All right, there you go. Thank you so much. Let me turn this one on. All right.
Yeah. We were actually down the street, about 2 miles away in the recording studio, recording the Christmas record, and we literally took a break and jumped in a van and drove up to La Plaza and did the show and said hello to everybody and jumped in the van and went back to work again.
Oh, well, let me tell you, that was one of the highlights of the musical tribute. It was a musical tribute to Linda with Los Ensotles, La Marisol. It was Marisa Ronstadt, her niece, I believe.
Yeah.
And then along with your band, and at the end, it was a big La Bamba fest where everybody got on stage, the mariachi, so it was a good time.
Yeah, and Linda Ronstadt's another one of those that we've become, personal friends with, and she's just a fabulous lady. And I have to point something out, and I saw that on the clip. Sitting right by her in the audience was Diane Rodriguez, who we just recently lost.
That's right.
And, it was a tough one. Diane was just a fabulous person. Built his career for himself for nothing. Was one of the artistic directors over at the Mark Taper Forum. She's a fabulous woman. Diane Rodriguez, we miss you so much.
Yes, started off Teatro Campesino,
right.
Came over to Los Angeles, a director, a producer, a writer as well. Yeah, a big loss for the artistic community here in through the United States.
All over the U.S., she had a huge impact.
All right, well, with that, this year, we throw our annual gala, but like with Los Lobos and with other artistic organizations, it all came to a halt. For us, it was March 14th was the last day that we opened up our museum doors, and we had a full slate of programming. Like I mentioned, we have our outdoor concerts, we have our exhibitions, pláticas, food, talks and tastings, and so on.
Yeah. And
one of the highlights was going to be our annual dinner, our gala, and we were going to be honoring, of all people, Los Lobos with our Pobladores Award. And we're hoping to reschedule, and we're going to be inviting you to come in and join us so that we could really give tribute to all the artistic, musical, and community contributions that you and the band have given to our communities.
Well, thank you very much. And really, the conversation is not just about the doom and gloom, because we're going to be okay. We're all going to be back, and we'll all be able to enjoy all the things that we had before. It'll be a little different. I don't know how different that normal will be from what it used to be. But as long as we all look after each other like we have been, and as long as in this case that we abide by the data and the science and the directives that they give us, we can beat this, and hopefully we'll have a vaccine sometime next year. I don't know, but we'll be back on stage again in one capacity or another.
Okay, we're going to look at a little bit of the brighter things. I know you've been home now with your wife for a little while, and you have a great Instagram.
We're okay.
Yep, you have a great Instagram feed, and you don't see. So tell us what you post.
Well, I've got a thread, a post that's called the Quarantine Kitchen, La Cocina Cuarentina, and I just post the stuff that I cook every day, that my wife and I do, and it's always tagged at the end. Stay home and cook something good, because again, the thing is that we need to stay out of harm's way. We need to try. The only tool we have against this at the moment is to control the spread, is to stay home and stay out of contact with each other. It's difficult because my son comes by and drops something off, and he's on the sidewalk and I'm at the front door. It's that typical picture you see of the abuelita inside their house looking out at their loved ones that are out on the front lawn, and she's standing at the window. It's tough. It's a tough thing to do, and I'm experiencing that. But I'm hopeful. The only thing that I kind of fear a little bit is that when this is all over, that I'm not going to have anything to show for it. I like to say that I'm painting. I like to say that I'm writing. I like to do all this, but I think I'm still decompressing, and and I haven't felt that move to be able to sit down and actually start create something. I'm too engaged with what's going on and whatever I can do. And also, I want to mention before we go is that Los Lobos has been kind of absent on online stuff. That's because we've had a hard time getting started, because a lot of the outboard technology is on back order because everybody's doing it. Mm-hmm. But we hope to very soon. Our presence will be on there. We're going to come up with different programming content, archival stuff, live stuff, and some new recordings that we can offer to everyone as a little bit of relief from all of the bad news that we constantly bombarded with.
Okay. Well, just to go back to the work that you had in progress, which was a covers album, could you give us a little sneak peek, not to sing or not to play, but just to tell us what you had in mind, that what was already being recorded or what was being planned?
Yeah, well, I'd love to play something, but all my guitars are in storage. I'm like the roofer whose roof leaks, musician with no guitars at home. I mean, it's crazy, but I've got all in storage and I can't get to them. So that's where it is right now. But it's a covers record. We came up with this idea that we're going to play songs, record songs that we all have memories to, like something like whether it be a Young Rascal song like Groovin' or something that we all have like some attachment to, some reminiscence about. And it's gonna be a fun record to make. We had just gone in there and started listening to tracks and trying to get some ideas of the kind of direction when all of this stuff hit. So we literally left everything at the studio. So hopefully we'll be back to do that. And maybe through some technology that we might be able to acquire to be able to do it at home. A lot of people are doing that already.
All right. Well, one thing that a technology that you use right now, of course, is your text. So you're able to get back and forth and have conversations and with people. And I'm just looking at a text that we had a little bit of a text exchange about live music of all things. Yeah. About the earliest concerts that we remember going to, and and I thought it came from in your album cover, your album liner notes. You talked about a band called Bloodwind Pig, and I thought I was the only Chicano that liked Bloodwind Pig back in the day.
that is really funny because it's true. Is that when I first met David in an art class at James A. Garfield High School, I was in like the 11th grade, and I think he was in the 10th grade. We started talking. And he mentioned like a band name, and I said, "Oh, Fairport Convention. Yeah, I've got both records that are." You like Fairport Convention, really? Because a lot of people, I don't know. Maybe the outside world thinks that us as Chicanos that we all are going down the street dancing a jarabe or something, right? But it's not true. We listen to everything else. And my first live music event that I went to was when my mother took me to the $1 Million Theater downtown LA, to the Variedades, because she loved rancheras and she wanted to see Miguel Acez Mejia, and he was performing there. Mm-hmm. And that was my first encounter with live music. I sat in the audience, the lights went up, and mariachi was on stage. It looked like there was about 40 guys up there. And then they did a big fanfare, and Miguel Acez Mejia comes out on horseback with a microphone. So this is kind of like almost like the Salvador Dali surrealistic kind of first impression of music. But the first rock event I ever did was I was a big fan of Jimi Hendrix's first record, and I was 14 years old, and he was playing at the Hollywood Bowl, and I begged my mom, I want to go. My father had passed away some years before that, and so we didn't have any wheels. So she got a family friend to take me. So there I was in the audience, seeing 14-year-olds watching Jimi Hendrix on stage, and it changed me forever. The chromosomes just kind of got rearranged. Every brain cell got rearranged, and I was at that point.
All right. Well, we're going to open it up for just. But my first concert were the Temptations down at the Forum. Runaway Child, Running Wild.
Oh,
that era. It was incredible. But with that, we have a Q&A here.
Yeah.
If you'd like anybody that wants to ask a question to Louie Pérez de Los Lobos, please go ahead and chime in. Type it in. We have a chat going on. Oh shoot, we have 33. I didn't even look at it. Okay, right now,
hey,
I think you could see this. Fairport.
Let's just hang out. Why not?
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, I'm just going to go back to the text that we had where you did talk about Fairport Convention. One of your early concerts was Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Oh, yeah.
At the Hollywood Bowl. Black Sabbath at the Forum.
Yeah, with Yes, yeah. And I saw Jimi Hendrix at the Forum with Buddy Miles Express, and the opening act was an unknown band called CTA, it was Chicago Transit
Authority. Yeah.
And nobody knew who they were. The lights were still up when they were playing. People were still getting to their seats, and here's Chicago playing on stage, and no one ever heard of them.
Man, that's the power of music, of live music in particular, where it just brings back those memories.
Yeah.
And for that, we have to give it up to Los Lobos, to you, who have put on some incredible performances throughout the years, both live and on recording. And for that, we thank you. And we're going to go ahead. We have a couple minutes before we have to wrap it up. But what do you got to say? Oh, let me just, if any more questions, now I see. Just somebody said, hey, Jesse Clifford Adams says, hey.
Hey, Jesse. Yeah.
All right. Well,
are we able to see any of these people on there?
Any of these people? No, that's a different technology. That's the meeting. If we had a meeting, you'd see all these little squares all over the place and that's a little harder to control. So this is the webinar.
Well, let's hear some questions. Let's answer some questions.
All right. Well, let's see. Nobody's asking, so
okay.
I'm going to ask you a question. What's your favorite song to play live on stage?
On stage? Wow, that's tough, because that's kind of like asking who your favorite child is. Well, cover songs. I'd love to play "Cinnamon Girl" because that was one of the very first songs that actually David and I had a band in just out of high school, and we played "Cinnamon Girl." And I always thought "Cinnamon Girl" was about a Chicana. Anyway, that's okay.
Isn't it? I always thought it was about a Chicana.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's a question from Scott Schnackenberg. He's asking, how is your merch guy holding up?
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's a good friend, Scott. How you doing? Hi, Carrie. Miles is good. Miles is our merchandiser, and everybody's out of work. We're he's doing okay. I've talked to him. We text regularly, but we have employees too, and we're trying to support our employees. Thank goodness all of their medical insurance and stuff that we provide is still ongoing. But everybody's struggling. People are out of a job. I'm out of a job. Is basically I'm out of job. But
So how can people support Los Lobos right now? Going to your website, you have merch up for sale?
Yeah, well, I think what we like to do first and foremost is to be at service to our community, to be at service to all the fans who are missing live music. So we're going to get that up and running pretty quick. We're a little bit late to it, but that's the first thing we want to do is just present that. We're talking about maybe doing some co-ops with some charitable causes. We need to do that, of course, because there's a lot of people hurting. But state of California seems to be got it together. We're not throwing our food down the in the trash.
No, we're not digging it up, and no.
We're trying to connect our farmers with food banks, which is a really smart idea. Instead of like some other people are just like wasting all this good food. I was raised always to be service minded. My mother fed homeless people on my front porch when I was growing up, and so that's kind of just in my blood. I'm not trying to put a halo over my head, and I'm not even though I'm thinking more about wanting to go to heaven now, as I get older. But no, to be of service is the main thing for Los Lobos. And right now we're okay. We're okay. We just want to do as much as we can for our community and for our fans.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that. And thanks for appearing here at our in Casa con la Plaza. A little bit delayed because of the technical difficulties, but we had it down. So this again was our third one. And if I could just give out a little preview of what's coming up. Here's one on May 4th. You might like it, Louie. It's with Jocelyn Ramirez. She's a chef, well-renowned chef. Her company is called Todo Verde. So she cooks nothing vegan dishes. So she'll be demonstrating pipián rojo. So that's on next Monday at 3 p.m. You could sign up on our Facebook page, on our website page, and hopefully we'll get it together with her. That'll be hosted by Jimena Martin, who's our Director of Educational Programming. On Tuesday, el 5 de Mayo, we have a special guest, David Hayes Batista, Dr. David Hayes Batista out of UCLA's Center for Latino Health and Culture. He'll be talking about the real 5 de Mayo, which was a holiday that started here in LA back in the 1860s, and he's going to give us an overview about that. And then followed by Stephanie Loera from La Plaza, going to talk a little bit of politics with a group that she founded called Puro Political Party, which is a mix of networking, doing some political outreach and having fun at the same time. And finally, on Friday the 8th, we're going to be playing Loteria online. Yes, we're going to have a big Loteria with Gloria Arellano. She's a lecturer and an entertainer, a singer. She puts on some great presentations, and she's going to lead us, talk about the history of Loteria, first of all, which was originally from an Italian game, and talk about its Mesoamerican roots, and then give us a little taste of Loteria here in Casa con la Plaza. So if there's no more questions, no more comments, we're almost out of time. Oh, let's see, here's somebody asking, have you heard of coronavirus Loteria? There's a guy in San Antonio, Texas, I think, making them. All right, we'll check that out.
Okay, perfect.
We have a couple other, thanks for supporting Latino arts and culture, says Kim Chavez. I wonder who that is. Hello, Kim. We have, thank you, Abelardo and Louie from Sandra Gutierrez. Gracias por esto from Roberta Martinez. So thank you all who came online. I think we probably have some Facebook comments as well. I'm not going to be able to get to them because I could barely handle this. So But thank you so much, Louie. Take it easy. We'll
My
see.
pleasure.
Hopefully, see you soon.
Everybody take care of themselves. Stay home, cook something good, pet your dog, hug your kids. We'll all be all right. Believe me.
All right, thank you. All right, good night, everybody. Buenas noches. Nos vemos
Buenas
pronto.
noches a todos. Gracias por venir.